right, so what we're going to be doing now is our next guest presentation. This presentation is from the third floor. We're working with Xsens to show off another step in virtual production. In this case, we're looking at previsualization specifically, so they're going to do real-time previs here right on our stage for you and give you an idea of how that production workflow goes. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris Edwards, who's going to take it away.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, everyone, for coming here and being a captive audience. I'm going to go fast and show you some of the things that we're working on back at third floor headquarters. But first, I want to give you a little preview of what we do. My name is Chris Edwards, CEO and the creative director over at the studio. And I'd like to introduce Brian Pace here,
How's it going?
who's our senior asset builder and head of technology. He's the mix master behind the scenes of everything that you will see later on in the live demo portion. So we're the world's largest previs studio at the moment, with about 120 employees, also including storyboard artists and editors and a whole bunch of really dedicated previs artists. And we also have extended that family recently to our office that we're very proud of in London. And we've worked on so many different hits. We're really, it's an honor to work with so many different amazing filmmakers. And each time it's a different journey, but we're having a great time working with so many amazing folks. We also don't just work on feature films, we work on video game cinematics and commercials, theme parks, and a lot of other areas of the industry. But I'd like to show this clip, which was from E3, the video game convention, not this year, but last year. It was a bit of a rush job to be able to create this marketing piece in just 7 weeks. So we started with the previs, did about 3 weeks of previs with a small team to show this very continuous action of one camera move going through an environment. And the reason for this is that the designers of the game really wanted to show off the fact that it was a game that happened and started on the land, but then you could also go into the sky and eventually into the stars, and all of that was happening simultaneously. So process-wise, we'd hand the previs over and did a little bit of final animation, although usually it's another final animation company adding the final animation to the previs blueprint, and then it's a matter of doing the final rendering and all of the heavy lifting to make it look truly presentable out in the marketplace. And all of this was done with an overlapping work schedule, a lot of coordination between the two partners, and was done in that 7-week time frame from start to finish. So in order to continue this level of efficiency and to make it even better for the future films that are just becoming more and more ambitious, we constantly look at the film production process and we say, what can we do to optimize this? One of the things we can do is take a look at how previs interfaces with each of these different stages. And in particular, we've been highlighting the 2 phases that we're the most involved with pre-production and the extension of previs onset called onset visualization. So we're trying to find ways to bring the spontaneity of a live on-set production back into pre-production, so it's not just a whole bunch of people sitting at computers planning a movie. So what we came up with a term that we refer to as virtual rapid prototyping. And in order to do great virtual rapid prototyping, you need a great team that can create a virtual world. You probably heard this term, world building. That's what we do, starting from projects way before Avatar, but this being one of the more notable examples. Just 3 of our artists worked together with the art department to create the very first 3D models in Maya of Avatar's environments, and those were passed on to folks like Brian Pace here, who are working in the VAD department, the virtual art department, that continues to upgrade that, tweak it, and prepare it for the live on-set experience. And in fact, that was the environment going through VAD that was used every day by Jim Cameron to shoot the movie. And then, of course, the other half of that is the performance of the performers. And what we're doing on the previs side of things is not having the pressure of recording the final imagery, because there's a certain amount of heavy lifting that goes along with the capture of imagery that has to be that final performance with final facial animation and everything. But why should we not include that anyways in sort of a rough process, the virtual rapid prototyping process, with suits like the Xsens suit from Movin or actually called the MVN suit, otherwise referred to as the motion capture suit. This is an inertial motion capture suit. And it's totally free and completely wireless. You've probably seen it on the show floor. It's perfect for previs purposes, and we find that the data is really, really clean. The third component is the virtual camera, which unfortunately we really can't demonstrate here with all the equipment that we have on stage. But we've, in the demo you're about to see, we've substituted a bunch of kind of switched cameras that we've set up in specific positions. So think of it as like a studio, a television studio scenario. And the last, and I think one of the most important aspects of this, is real-time scene manipulation. This is something that we've gotten really good at, starting from the support effort we did for Robert Zemeckis on Beowulf, Christmas Carol, and other films, and continue to this day on other films I cannot mention. But today, you're meeting Brian Pace, who's a veteran director's layout artist, and we refer to this as D-Lo artist. This is actually a term that Robert Zemeckis came up with when he wanted to work with a team of professionals sitting behind the scenes, basically being the short order chefs, coming up with and manipulating some of the action that he would then shoot live. And so that makes for some very happy directors when we can put all of those elements together. And that's what makes for a really good virtual rapid prototyping shoot. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to these guys to do a little setup so we can show you and demonstrate how this works when we set up something like this. And the first thing we're going to do is switch over to MotionBuilder. And then I'd like to also on screen put up the, if we can, the MVN Studio on the other laptop. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to explain to our lovely and talented actress Julene, who was one of the actresses working on Avatar, among many other things. So we're honored to have her on stage here. She's a good friend of the family. You can see how her motion is very, very smooth, very close to what she's doing, even though this is a completely wireless suit. That's the MVN Studio software on the right side. On the left side, you'll see a little QuickTime that we're going to play right now. And this is the scenario that we've set up for Julene to play within. This is a war-torn little village, and we're going to have a helicopter strafing run come through here and injure some of the poor defenseless villagers, which happen to be performed by some of our previs artists. So that's the basic scenario in which she comes into the scene, and we're going to play out the rest of the scene live with her. What we want to do is check a couple of camera moves first to make sure that she's hits the right marks, okay? So let's go to that first camera angle, if we will.
Alrighty.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, can we go full screen MotionBuilder, please? So, okay, so now we can see, and more importantly, Julene can see where she's at in relation to the environment. So she's going to be running in towards the area where the villagers are being strafed. Okay, then we're going to show her where the helicopter is. So let's switch to the helicopter view. Let's see here, towards the end. Next camera. Okay, cool. So now we can have her take a look at it. I think it's the exit sign, or somewhere near the exit sign is where we're seeing the virtual representation of that helicopter is going to land. Cool. That looks pretty good. Maybe even a little higher. You know, excellent, perfect. Okay, and then the last shot we'll switch to, but we won't press play. Okay, so now this is where something's going to happen in the end, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And so if you turn around, I think then you'll maybe not quite so far. Over by Sean. Okay, perfect.
There we go. Perfect.
All right, well, let's go back to 1. Perfect. And we're going to reset her position over here.
There we go.
There, her position's all reset. Okay, there's a short intro sequence, and then I'm going to cue the action. All right, Julene? Okay.
Ready to go.
Okay, Brian, stand by and roll camera. And Julene, get ready and start running into the village. Okay, now reaction shot. What do you see in the sky? It's a helicopter coming around. Oh wait, shoot it! There's a huge explosion in front of you, and you're taking it all in, but something's not right. You sense something behind you. And what's behind you? Oh no! It's a huge creature! Keep rolling. This is movie magic. Okay, a little beautiful. A round of applause for Julene, please. What I'd like to do is to show you how we can change up the camera moves here. So we did a one run through all the way through, but maybe we're not happy with that last shot, and we want to change it up, and we want to make it a real camera move that can actually be performed if this were a real set that was production designed and built out for real, or a real location. So what we're going to do, while I let Brian switch a couple different views, so is we're going to set it up in a sort of a dual screen mode so we can see both the environment and our camera and what the camera is attached to, and set up a new setup here. So there we go. So on the left side, you see the shot that's being framed up, and on the right side, we'll get it set up with a view which is very close to the center of the forest area. Okay. So while I let him have a minute or two to get that set up, I just wanted to let you know the whole purpose of this is to be able to bring this kind of technology that is previously thought of as sort of avatar scale technology, and bring a portion of that skill set and a portion of that technology down to the level where a mainstream producer can really have access to this kind of process. And the whole idea is that if the scene is the right candidate for this type of process, we can do the previs faster, and we can do it in a more interactive way. Okay, so now we're ready to rumble. If you rotate around the right view, you see that right here, the virtual camera is actually attached to a crane. If we zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this is a Super Techno 50, and it allows us to keeps us honest in that if we go too far away from the crane, it will turn red because that's too far for the actual crane to move. So what we'll do is I want to set up a new shot, a shot which is maybe closer to Julene, and she seems to be, how about you, Julene, if you can go head on over to the podium. Cool. Now you're in frame. So let's go a lot lower and tilt up a little bit. And we're going to set an initial keyframe here. Okay?
Good.
Now, let's check out our final keyframe here. Okay, cool. That's good. So now, Julene, you can be a lot more broad in the action here if you like. And because we... So why don't we start from the very beginning? All right. So you're going to race into that position, Julene, and then be scared by the monster when it happens, okay? The monster. Yeah. All right. And roll action. And
yeah.
And actress. And camera move. So now the one thing we do have to do to make sure that this shot is going to work, though, is we got to look at where the camera crane is and make sure we move the base of that camera crane so that it can be doable on the day. And now I like this, but why don't we do it one more time? Julene, if you'll just stay there. Let's actually move the camera rig a little higher. Actually quite a bit higher, and tilt down. So you can see the idea that we're making choices on the fly here to be able to change the cinematography of the scene. So now we've set that camera. Okay, let's make that camera move happen over a longer period of time.
There we go.
Okay, and then in the middle of the frame range there, let's dip the camera down lower. So we're really doing a bit of a sweeping, booming camera move. That's good. Perfect. Okay, set that keyframe, and one last time. Julene, you ready? And action. Okay, you race on in. And then creature. Thanks. That's a wrap. Thank you, guys. Well, so the idea is to bring this down to a very approachable level so we can all work on this as a small team before it gets to the pressure of having to do this on a really large set with lots and lots of other variables and pressure. So we're having fun integrating this into our process, and certainly MotionBuilder is enabling this. The guys at Xsense are enabling this, and we're very appreciative to have the experience to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Excellent job.